All right, phones down. Glass is topped up. Chips are poured, right? What do we got?
Chips are poured.
What do we got?
We're pouring chips. We have dill pickle and salt and vinegar, so there's a whole lot of...
A mishmash, because Don Taylor, truth be told, who enjoys our chip stash, apparently.
There's
our
like
Don
a little
Taylor.
mousse in there.
He likes the salt and vinegar.
Opening the bags.
Thank you for replacing the salt and vinegar, DT.
Yeah.
It's been quite a week since we saw each other last, Linda Steele.
Yeah, you know, last week on the show we had a really interesting guest, Professor Tim Caulfield, who is a health and law professor, and he's a debunker of conspiracy theories, especially as it applies to COVID. So we were talking about a Toronto Star article about Jamie Salé, the former Olympic skating sweetheart who had gone down the swirling rabbit hole of conspiracy theories.
And we were worried about her.
COVID, yeah.
We were legitimately saying we feel like she needs saving from
herself.
The fear that must be generating the conspiracy theory that's happening. Because at the beginning of COVID-19, she was rocking the Conquer COVID-19 t-shirts that Haley Wickenheiser was putting out there to support frontline healthcare workers, and it just shifted. But now Jamie Salé is teaming up with Theoren Fleury, former of the Calgary Flames, and they've kind of got some Tucker Carlson piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I had tweeted out just a little link to Professor Caulfield, just a comment he had made, and that caught the eye of Theoren Fleury, who was none too pleased. And this is what he had tweeted back. I said, "Oh, which one of us is Joy Behar and which one is Whoopi Goldberg?"
Who do you want to be? Because I want to be both of them. I want both of their incomes.
Both very successful. Good for them. But he's essentially calling the professor a misinformation expert and saying that we were slagging Jamie Salé. Insane what the media has become. And I'm just thinking, oh my. I don't tend to go back and read the comments. Jody happened to notice.
I scrolled through. Let's while we're explaining this, I went and I videotaped my scroll because it was Linda's tweet with, as you said, Professor Caulfield, who's amazing, and the people that chimed in. So there I am. I'm like, wait, what on earth makes us cowards, right? And then he's coming back at me like, fine, then put me on your show.
People are putting AIDS in the vaccines.
I mean,
yeah, there was just. It was like a
Jody Vance. I thought she was dead, very much alive and on your television.
For God's sakes. Yeah. Anyway, it sort of went viral. The response went viral, and it just sort of, highlighted the fact that there's a lot of people who are very confused and buying into the disinformation stream, and it's kind of concerning.
It is concerning, and we're going to keep pointing out the facts on this show in particular, because we watch the news for you, and we're going to get to that. But first, coming up on the show today, we got some juicy topics to dig in on.
Yeah, we are going to talk about tipping. For one thing, I don't know about you, but you've probably noticed, especially during COVID, when we were doing a lot of takeout and then we were allowed back into restaurants, you're like, the tip percentage seems to be going higher. And the places that are asking you to tip now, like liquor store, how many times do I have to press the button?
The liquor store?
To bypass the tip option. You didn't do anything to deserve a tip.
You bought your bottle of wine and they want you to tip on top of that? Or I got a 6-pack of nudes and no. And it's like, we'll get into it later. But
somebody was reaching out because we were doing a Twitter poll, which we'll show you later. But this is one of the comments from someone.
100% I'm not cheap and have zero problem tipping well for takeout drivers or wait staff in a restaurant, bar. But a fast food joint, now bakery, what's the next? The gas station? The bakery is one for me where I'm like, listen, can you put this back to where I just tap the card to get my loaf of bread? That's $7.50.
We're going to talk about that. We're also talking about housing. This news article really caught my eye around mortgages, because you know how expensive housing is in this market. I couldn't believe that half the homeowners in Vancouver don't even have a mortgage. Happy for you. I am not in that 50%. I owe the bank a whole ton of money.
Me too.
But at the same time, we had some real estate news with a big Vancouver developer, maybe not the biggest, but a big one, who has a ton of debt, almost $1 billion, seeking creditor protection, which has people who have pre-sales involved with this developer going, what does that mean for me?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Angela Calla, who's a mortgage broker, about this, and also Sarah Daniels, our good friend who's a realtor, is going to come in studio and talk through where some people are saying, oh God, the bubbles burst. Well, Sarah's made a couple of deals in the past week or so that paints a different picture. So we'll get into that as well. But first, because we always promise to watch the news for you, it's time for
Hot Headlines. Yeah. Woohoo! There's a new little animation.
I love it.
Thank you so much. There's so many things to talk about. Where do we start? The city of Vancouver has just clawed back that 25-cent cup fee. As said, we're going to kill it because we don't have any data that it is actually making any difference.
Of course it isn't.
What didn't make sense was that there was no...
follow the money.
Well,
it went into the pockets of the businesses.
Right, and they didn't have to do anything to save the environment
Were you gonna,
or educate consumers.
Were you going to bring a cup to the fast food restaurant to hand in the drive-thru to ask them to? Of course you're not.
Right.
It was silly.
So,
if we can do something for the environment,
cancel.
great. Don't do dumb things that just cause
Come up with a policy
cost.
that makes more sense.
How about,
and then try it again.
Or start somewhere, right? Like start somewhere, do something, which is how we were referencing the healthcare, the federal healthcare supports going out to the provinces. We've been covering that story. So that now has been accepted. Not what the provinces were hoping for, however.
Well,
it's
they
happening.
weren't going to not take the money that was on the table, even if it was way less than what they were hoping for. Is it going to solve the problems in the healthcare system? No. Probably not, because there's too many problems, but the BC government is now looking at how it's going to spend its share. So there will be a little bit of, softening of the pressure points, but we got a long way to go.
Because you and I have both had our lives touched by Alzheimer's and dementia, we have talked about medical assistance in dying pretty regularly here on the program, and there's a bit of an update on that.
Well, two things. A parliamentary committee came out today and recommended that people with dementia be allowed to do advance consent for MAID. I'm not sure where we're going with that because Angus Reid just did a poll.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this graph. And in terms of people with mental health as their sole condition, Canadians are not okay with them accessing MAID. Look at that, 51% said, no, I oppose this, which is why the federal government has pressed pause on that, and there's a 1-year period, a delay, where they're going to try to seek more information. So I'm not sure where we're going with that
Yeah,
one.
we'll stay on top of that story. We're also going to stay on top of the story surrounding the Canadian women's national soccer team. Did you see this? Okay, so this is the cartoon from Bruce McKinnon's publication on the just on Wednesday. Christine Sinclair, who is a player, I covered the women's national team my entire sports career. Christine Sinclair is so careful with her words. She is somebody who wants to focus on the game. She is the greatest soccer player on the planet. Yes, I mean male or female. She is one of the greatest athletes in the world.
Yeah.
And she is so upset right now and saying enough is enough, and that the women are paid less. The funding for the women's team is less than half that of the men's team. And it is ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. I'll agree with you from the point of view that it is the female soccer team that has the fans, it's had the success.
Gold medal.
They definitely deserve to be paid at least as much as the male soccer players. There are other female sports where you could argue they don't have the fan base. People are not quite as engaged, and so maybe you could say, well, I can understand why an NHL player is making the kind of money he is versus a woman on the Canadian national hockey team. But when it comes to soccer, no, actually, they deserve it.
No, indeed. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did, actually. I wasn't even that interested, but it was kind of fun. The halftime was
I had a
actually
moment.
The big story.
Did you notice right away that perhaps?
Yes, I did. I thought as soon as Rihanna comes out, I thought, that's got to be a sign that she's pregnant. But you don't want to say anything.
You can't, right? So she just had a baby who's 8 months old. And then this big reveal happens. And then, as a mom, I'm looking at this like, hold on, she's suspended in the air on a glass platform singing pregnant. I mean, I could barely get to the grocery store with an 8-month-old, let me tell you. This woman is,
she's not kidding around. I mean, she's the real deal. So,
I loved this.
And then, of course, it was confirmed that she is, in fact, pregnant, so congratulations to
But the
Rihanna.
speculation and people on Twitter, all the dudes were like, I'm not allowed to say.
Well, I didn't
You're
want
right.
to say anything either.
You're right. I was
is
waiting
that
for it.
baby chub or, I don't know. No. Okay, so let's talk about something else that's making news, and we will talk about this a little bit more as well. The Toronto mayor, who just got reelected, all of a sudden announces he's going to have to resign because he's been outed as having an affair with a city staffer. He is married. The staffer's 31, he's 68.
Yeah. He's very married.
Didn't think he needed to resign until it turned out that the Toronto Star was going to out him on it. And then I think his family, and they had all kinds of, navigator of that media crisis group.
Yeah.
Everybody was involved. What should he do? Should he quit? Should he stay on?
We're going to talk about that later in the show for sure. Speaking of navigation, have you been navigating the balloons and NORAD? And
that was hard to keep track. It's like, okay, is that 4 balloons?
4.
So they were shooting them down all over the place. I saw today that President Biden came out and he spoke about it for the first time. That first balloon that we were all captured by was, in fact, they believe, some sort of a Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah. They
and
said
of
weather
course, China
balloon.
said, that's not true, and it's Americans who are sending spy balloons our way, and that may be true. The other 3 they're saying they believe were just air debris of some sort.
They're starting to talk about the fact that there are high altitude balloons or objects or unidentified,
UFOs.
right? But unidentified flying objects doesn't mean aliens. Not aliens. Stop the conspiracy on the aliens. But they said that, because they fly at these high altitudes, that they've largely gone unreported or unnoticed. And now that they're looking back.
Now that we're gun shy.
Now they're looking back and saying, hey, we've seen more of these or what have you. What I like about, I don't like it, but what I think is a positive to come out of this is NORAD and everybody learning about how the North American team of Canada and the U.S., doesn't matter what Tucker Carlson says, we work well together.
Yeah.
We have agreements and we can be very different and yet still be friends, colleagues,
A lot
partners.
of people are going to say, well, maybe I'm not your friend anymore because I don't get to use your Netflix password.
Okay, I'm not your friend anymore because I don't get to use your
I never gave my
No, you
Netflix
didn't.
password to anyone else just because I didn't feel the need to. But
Me
now
neither.
Netflix Canada wants a new source of revenue, and it is cracking down and making it way harder for you to give it to your friends, to give it to your adult children, to give it to several family members who don't live anywhere around you. People are saying, I'm going to cancel Netflix. I'm thinking, come on. You were getting a pretty good deal, and you were getting something for free in the beginning, and now you just got to pay for it.
But Netflix is like $24 now. It used to be $12. I have Paramount Plus and Disney Plus and Apple TV and Crave, and I have all of that. And most of them at Prime, most of them are like $5.99 or $8, or some of the more premium one with HBO is a little bit more expensive. Netflix is the most expensive. And for them to say it's most expensive and you can't share now, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, we'll see. People say, I'm going to cancel my
I'm not
account.
canceling it, but I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and just one more quick thing, because we talked about the Folk Fest maybe being canceled. Now it turns out there's some new provincial money that it may be saved, except for now the Vancouver Cherry Blossom Festival is in trouble because its main sponsor is pulled out, and it happens to be that developer we just referenced, who is seeking creditor protection. So a whole bunch of news coming up on that.
We'll keep you posted about that. Later on the show, tipping, as we mentioned, we're going to get into it, because have you reached the point of being afraid to get the payment terminal handed to you and asked to tip 30% on your to-go order? We're gonna get into it. Tipping's gone crazy, Linda. It's
absolutely.
crazy.
Also, still ahead, looking to buy, looking to sell, worried about the pre-sale market. The real estate statistics look pretty grim on paper, but the reality on the street tells a very different story.